One good thing about beech, quite often it's almost an inventory of courting couples. Perhaps beech is inscribed upon by courting couples and gangs of boys and gangs of girls over the years, probably more than any other tree. But it lends itself to that because of the smooth bark. Beech also lends itself to trunk hunting, a favourite pastime of mine, which involves just gawping for the sake of it at the trunks of trees looking for invertebrates. And even this time of year there are invertebrates to be found. Some not always recent. Some of the examples that we can find here today are larval cases left over from the spring of the Psychidae moth Taliporia tubulosa. Now this area of woodland is Nottinghamshire's best area for Taliporia tubulosa. It has no conservation status, so it's expendable, and so unfortunately are the trees. A lot of these are marked to go, and that will be yet another sad day for Nottinghamshire's woodland. I'm just looking at the colours of the leaves here that have fallen. Three main types of leaves here. There's the sort of tan, light brown coloured beech leaves, which all seem to be that same shade of tan and brown. And you've got some yellow and yellowy green leaves of limes, and also to make up the blend, the odd sweet chestnut, the elongated leaves, and then the palmate leaves of sycamore. But the colours together just look beautiful to me. It's what autumn's all about, really. Pretty much in Nottinghamshire, wherever you've got beech woodland, or at least beech trees contained within woodland, and you've got a forest floor or woodland floor which is quite sparsely vegetated, you're very, very likely to get this species, and this is the larval case of Taliporia tubulosa. The cases are large, they're distinct and cigar shaped and about an inch long, which is about 25mm in old money. Very easy to find. The cases will remain on the trees for years in some cases, and to be honest, this case looks as fresh as when it was vacated by the moth here a few months ago, back in May. This is the end of November when I'm filming this, so you can see how they last. Taliporia tubulosa, the females are wingless, and the larvae, once emerging from the eggs, descend from the trunks and down into the leaf litter and onto the woodland floor, and there they remain. And it's usually in May when the cases now mature with the larvae, start to ascend the trunks again to pupate. They always pupate on the trunks of trees, and they'll go up to a decent height of about 10-12 feet or so. Sometimes certain weekends or certain couple of days can see the peak of numbers of larvae ascending the trees. But it's an attractive little moth. It's widespread in Nottinghamshire, certainly more of a moth of Sherwood Forest area and the Clumber Park area, but there's still a lot of records to be had from sites in the south of the county, I'm sure. Now this is quite a surprising record, not in terms of species, because this is one of the three most commonest woodlice we have here in Nottinghamshire, certainly in a woodland setting, but it's the location. Don't usually see this species, which is Phyllosia muscorum, Very, very common and widespread, but it's usually within the ground layer and in the leaf litter. This one's 4 feet up a beech trunk. Now, woodlice are commonly seen on the trunks of trees, especially at night time when they come out to browse, but usually the two species that you're most likely to see are Aniscus ocellus and Porcellio scaba, not usually Philosia muscorum, which is an attractive woodlouse, very, very common, easy to determine by that dark dorsal stripe, but they do vary. You can get some specimens like this which are positively reddish and others which are distinctly yellow. It's a lovely thing. I'm not a big studier of fungi. Myrmecology is the study of fungi as far as I can remember, and if you do like your myrmecology, then chances are you're a myrmecologist, which could be a tad misleading because it could make people think that you study red ants. Red ants having the genera name of Myrmica. Never thought about that, did you? But I do appreciate fungi, and I do like to photograph species that I've not seen before. This one I've seen many, many times before because it's immensely common, and it's hairy curtain crust, at least if I've got my identification right. Sterium hirsutum is the scientific name for this. Very common and good for coleoptera as well. Quite often coleoptera, like Plyphilus edwardsii, can be found in close proximity to this species. It's usually one of the first species that will appear on dead and dying beech, which this one is. Well, I've just found this, and I've just moved it off the trunk actually and put it just further down so I can film this little section. But this is the young larva of a common footman moth, and it was actively climbing the trunk. Common footman, along with most species of other footman larvae, feed on lichens and algae. So these lichen covered trees here at Holborn Hill Plantation are an ideal habitat, but I never expected to see one of these this time of year. Footman larvae are generally quite similar, but if you get one like this that's jet black on top and then has a row of orange markings along the sides, then you've pretty much certainly got common footman. Now, tucked away on the same trunk as the common footman larva that I've just filmed is this spider. Now, this is probably one of the Thomasidae spiders, which has numerous species, and identification to species is difficult. It could well be Ozyptilia praticola, but as I say, it's very hard to determine these spiders to species. But this is obviously a fairly youngish female. We'll certainly have another molt in the spring because they do get larger than this particular specimen. Grubby finger time. That's how big it is. So it's a decent size. It's probably 6, maybe 7 millimeters in length from the front of the chelicerae to the rear of the abdomen. And I say, the things are there. You just need to take that time out to look for them. There we are. Just added that in just to show you that I haven't had it stuffed and mounted. It is very much alive. They tend to darken quite often towards the end of the year, which also doesn't help any potential identification. But it's another little species to add to today's tally. Off she goes to descend into the leaf litter and overwinter in there, no doubt. Well, that's Holborn Hill plantation for another visit. Hopefully it'll still be like this in spring, and come looking for harvestmen, the first harvestman of the year, Platybunus pinetorum. This site was the first site in Nottinghamshire for that particular harvestman. I do love this wood, this bit of the forest. There again, I love Beech Woodland. It's totally different to any other woodland. I love it. Trouble is, the owners like profit more than I like this woodland.